Dr. R. Sugaraj Samuel. He is working as a professor in physics at New College, Chennai. He is also training students for IIT JEE, AIEEE and BIT SAT. He has more than 16 years experience in both teaching and research. He has published a book titled The Complete Handbook of Bachelor of Electronic Science Practicals, which is prescribed for the syllabus for BSc Electronic Science by University of Madras. He has presented papers in several national and international conferences and has also conducted many training programs and workshops to motivate energetic students. His research areas are ultrasonic, polymers, crystal growth and photovoltaic systems. He is experienced in both regular classroom teaching and online teaching as well.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in electricity and magnetism. We have been discussing about a series of lectures on the subject electricity and magnetism. In this lecture, we are going to start a new topic called magnetism. What is the role of current when it is flowing in a conductor? It has several effects. It produces heat, that is called Joule heating, and also it will produce some sort of cooling and heating effect also, that is called Peltier effect. The temperature difference could produce electric current, that is called the EMF, thermoelectric EMF. That is also a part of the current electricity, the effect that it produces. And another important aspect is the magnetic field that it produces around. When current is flowing through a conducting wire, there is a magnetic field associated with that. So, we are going to learn about the magnetic effect of current in this part of the lecture series, and this is the first lecture in such a series of lectures. So, we need to learn some of the basics of magnetism in the light of current electricity. So, before we start this lecture, let us see the session outline for today's lecture. In this session, we are going to see the history of magnetism, magnetic effect of current, the direction of magnetic field, the magnitude of magnetic field, and a term called current element, and finally the law called Biot-Savart law. All these we are going to learn in this lecture. We will start with some historical aspects of magnetism. How did this all begin? That is our idea. That is the thing we are going to start with. The history of magnetism. Many historians of science believe that the compass, which uses a magnetic needle, was used in China as early as 13th century BC, its invention being of Arabic or of Indian origin. The Greeks knew about the magnetism as early as 800 BC. They discovered that the stone magnetite, whose formula is given, attracts pieces of iron, and the legends ascribe the name magnetite to the shepherd Magnus, the nails of whose shoes and the tip of whose staff stuck fast to chunks of magnetite while he pastured his flocks in the field. So, we have got several historical versions, explanations behind magnetism. It all started with myth. The pieces of iron getting stuck to pieces of magnetite a kind of ore. They say it is found out in a place called magnetite, so the name magnetite is given to material. So all these we have as the history, partly which might be true, partly it might not be true also, but the science behind all this are very much true. We are going to learn about the science behind magnetism, right? How the magnetism has been evolved from the mythical concept of the pieces getting attracted or repelled. From that, the science has been redeemed from the mythological or philosophical concepts to scientific concepts. Let us see further how the concept of magnetism has evolved further. In 1269, a French man named Pierre de Méricourt mapped out the directions taken by a needle placed at various points on the surface of a spherical natural magnet and found out that the lines passed through 2 points diametrically opposite to each other, which he called the poles of the magnet. So this is how the poles of the magnet have been identified. The lines were concentrated at 2 points which are just opposite in the material or diametrically opposite to each other. Those points had the clustering of these lines which were patiently drawn by the scientist, and they have concluded something is there in the concentrated region and they called that as poles. Subsequent experiments showed that every magnet, regardless of its shape, has 2 poles called north and south poles that exert forces on other. Now, having identified the poles, they were even called the north pole and south pole. How this has been named north and south? When we freely suspend a magnet, a naturally existing magnet, that has a tendency to align in the north-south direction, the one pole seeking always the north pole of the earth and the other pole always seeking the south pole of the earth. So the north seeking pole is called in short as north pole and the south seeking pole is called as south pole. Why do they seek the north and south poles respectively? Lot more we need to learn. There are lots of explanations we are going to get. All are going to be the scientific explanations, not the mythological explanations, right? So we have 2 things in mind now. One is some sort of materials have the tendency to align in the north-south direction. One pole always seeks the north pole, the other pole seeks always the south pole. So they have some sort of influenced, they are influenced by something. That is why they align. So what is the thing that is influencing it? Might be a field. We have these concepts already evolved and established for the case of electrostatics. We have electric field and here we have that as magnetic field. Maybe a magnetic field would be influencing these tiny magnets, maybe magnetic needles or the pieces of magnetite, the material itself which is having the magnetic nature, all to have the directional effect, that is the orientation. They orient in a particular direction due to some influence or due to some field. So slowly we will try to learn one by one how these concepts evolved further. What about the magnetism and current? We have been discussing about only the naturally existing magnet, right, which has north pole, south pole and all that. What does the current to do with magnetism? One scientist could establish the relationship between the current and magnetism. We will learn about that further. The relationship between magnetism and electricity, that is current, was discovered in 1819 when, during a lecture demonstration, a Danish scientist called Hans Christian Ørsted found that an electric current in a wire deflected a compass needle kept nearby. So, the credit goes to Hans Christian Ørsted, who could find out the current deflecting the magnetic needle. Magnetic needle supposed to be a magnet existing by natural magnetism, and this current carrying conductor could influence the magnetic needle. What is that? Already the magnetic needle, which is freely suspended in earth, is aligning in the north-south direction. Why? It is due to the field that is existing around the earth. We call that as earth's magnetic field. We are yet to learn about the earth's magnetic field and all that, but we know for sure the field due to the earth's magnetism is influencing the magnetic needle or bar magnet to align in the north-south direction. But here a current carrying element is also influencing a magnetic needle. That means the current also has magnetic field around it. Somehow it is producing. So, that is the idea. So, there is a relationship between the current and the magnetic field that it produces. So, this is rightly identified by this demonstrative experiment done by Ørsted. Now, further developments have also been made in the study of current electricity and the magnetism associated with that. These are the scientists who have done that. In 1820, further connections between the electricity and magnetism were demonstrated by Michael Faraday and independently by Joseph Henry. So, though they were the contemporaries, look at the years they lived. Michael Faraday and Joseph Henry are contemporaries, and they have done experiments independently, and they were able to establish the relation between the electricity or current and the magnetism associated with that. And all these have given some sort of idea that current produces magnetic field around it. We will now go into the observations, experimental results, and try to establish a relationship for the magnetic field produced by current. So, we are moving towards that only. These are some of the experiments performed, and they were able to identify how the magnetic field is existing around the current carrying conductors or current elements. Look at these pictures. Experiments with current carrying wire elements of various shapes and iron fillings revealed some important facts about the direction of magnetic field. This is one such experiment. There is a current carrying element, maybe this would be the direction of current. We will take this current is coming upward from the surface, and it is piercing through a surface. On the surface we have iron fillings, these are all iron fillings, and they all align in a circular path. Are you able to identify that? So, they are all in a circular path spiraling around, it is all around, concentric circles are all formed around this current carrying element. And here it is a bent shape, the current element, the current carrying wire is bent, it is coming up in one side. I would like to show the direction also for this. It is coming up here and going into the surface, coming out and going in. It could be the reverse way also, but for discussion sake I have taken it this way. And in this case what is happening, the iron fillings are circling around the two current elements in the concentric circular shape. See, on both the sides it is all aligned, but still the direction is not clear, only the shape in which they are all existing. Say this is a current carrying wire, the magnetic field is around which, because the shapes are all in a circular form, circles, individual circles. It could be this way or this way, that is the result right now we have. So, that is how the magnetic field is existing. The iron fillings are all becoming little bit of magnetic materials, they align in the externally existing magnetic field. So that is why they align in that particular path. So we have got some idea what would be the direction in which the magnetic field is existing. They are all circles. That means the magnetic field is around this conductor, current carrying conductor. That is the idea right now we have. Now if you want to typically go into the direction, whether it is clockwise, anti-clockwise, or in what direction they are all existing, we need to learn little more of that. We have to use a magnet itself to find out what is the direction instead of iron fillings. So that experiment also has been conducted. See, the current which is going inwards, that means the current is going here inwards like this. You have the surface here, the current is entering in, and we do not use the iron fillings now, but we have the tiny magnetic needle which is kept in the compass box. The compass itself is kept so that the magnetic field direction could be easily identified. That is this diagram, and we have the magnetic field is existing in a clockwise direction as far as the current that is flowing inwards is concerned. The current is entering in and the magnetic field is like this. See, the north pole of the tiny compass is pointing this direction, which shows the clockwise direction. And when the current comes out, which is outwards, it is coming up, it is coming outwards from this, in that case it is in the anti-clockwise direction. So now it is clear that the current direction is also existing in one particular direction. It is still circular around a straight current carrying wire. Now the direction alone is identified. What about its magnitude? So experiments are further performed, and these are some of the results. Before that, we will strengthen the direction concept by one rule called the right hand thumb rule. When the current is flowing in a particular direction, the right hand thumb rule helps us to find out the direction of the magnetic field. We will see what it is. It is called the right hand thumb rule. With right hand, grab the wire so that the thumb is pointing in the direction of the current. The magnetic field is in the direction, other fingers curl around it. The field is perpendicular to the direction of the current element. Though it is explained in this diagram helps us to get a better understanding. Here the current is upwards, right, as far as this diagram is concerned. So we have to hold the current carrying wire with the right hand, the thumb pointing the direction of the current. I would like to show a demonstration of that. Let us take the current is going upwards in this. So we have to use our right hand and the thumb pointing the direction of the current and hold it with the other fingers. Though the current is flowing, just it is an imaginary demonstration. So we have to hold it in such a way that the thumb points the direction of current. The way in which the other fingers curl around will tell us the direction of the magnetic field. So here, if the current is upwards, the magnetic field is existing in this direction. For me, when we see from the upward direction, I see it from up, the current is in the anti-clockwise direction for me. If I see from the down, the current is clockwise for me. So it all depends on from which direction we view. Maybe one viewer is from the upward direction, the another viewer is seeing it from the downward direction. There will be a confusion whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. So to avoid that, we could use the right hand thumb rule. If you have the right hand thumb rule, then it is a universal direction. Use the right hand, hold it with your right hand in such a way the thumb points the direction of the current, and the way in which the other fingers curl around is the direction of the magnetic field. And we have to be very careful, we should not use the left hand, we should only use the right hand, that too the thumb pointing the direction of current. Every time we have to take care of that. If it is not a straight wire, if it is a bent one, then also at every point we can apply. At the current element we can apply. What is current element? We are going to learn about it. So this right hand thumb rule helps us to find out the direction of magnetic field produced by the current carrying element. Now what about the magnitude? That also we will see. The magnitude of the magnetic field. Experiments with current carrying wire elements revealed that the magnitude of magnetic field is inverse squarely related to the perpendicular distance from the current element. So, here the center has got the current element either coming up or going into the page, but look at the way in which the iron fillings are all arranged. Very close to the wire, the center one has got the wire is coming up or it is going in. We are seeing it from the perpendicular direction, and the regions where it is closer to the wire, the iron fillings are all somewhat densely arranged, and as we move away, the iron fillings become rarer, they are not that much dense. So, what does it imply? Closer to the current carrying wire, the magnetic field is also stronger than the point which is considered at a farther position. So, what is the typical relation? It is not the inverse relation, but inverse square relation. That was also experimentally shown by the scientists. So, now we have got the two available with us, the direction of the magnetic field and also the magnitude of the magnetic field. Closer to the current carrying wire, the magnetic field is somewhat stronger, and also it depends on the current that is flowing. Higher the value of current and higher is the orientation, higher is the arrangement of iron fillings. It all have been developed by conducting various experiments, and scientists were able to arrive at a particular relation relating these terms that we have discussed, likely the distance from the current carrying wire to a particular point, and also the magnitude of the current and also the direction of the current, all have been consolidated and given as a mathematical relation. We are going to learn about the mathematical relation also in this lecture, and this was done by two scientists. Let us see who they are. Shortly after Oersted's discovery, Jean-Baptiste Biot and Felix Savart performed some quantitative experiments to get the expression of the magnetic field produced by current elements. From their experimental results, Biot and Savart arrived at a mathematical expression that gives the magnetic field at some point in space in terms of the current that produces the field. What is the mathematical expression? It has to consider the current, the distance and the direction, several quantities, right? All of them have to be considered, and also the magnetic nature of the medium, because the current is established in a particular medium in which the current is passing through. Maybe the wire is a metal, but not that medium, the medium in which the magnetic field is established. So, that medium has a magnetic property. So, that also has to be included in the expression. So, this is the explanation that we have for this. That expression is based on the experimental observations for the magnetic field dB. dB is a small magnetic field that is due to a small magnetic element, the current element dl, which is carrying a current I. All these are related, and it is shown here in the direction in the diagram also. We have this as the current element, the arrow mark is shown, and we have a current element dl which is carrying current I. The IDL is called current element, and we are interested in finding the magnetic field due to this element at this point. So, this is the direction of the dl, the tangent that we draw here, and which subtends an angle theta. So, to take care of the direction, we will use this angle theta. And what is the expression that we have? These are the quantities on which it depends. The magnetic field dB is found to be directly proportional to the current, directly proportional to the length of the current element, and directly proportional to the sine of the angle between the DL and the line joining the element DL and the point P, that is sin theta, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance of the point from the current element, that is 1 divided by r square. All these 4 terms are given in the mathematical form like this. The dB is how they are related to these 4 terms I, dl, sin theta and r square. This is how they are all related to dB, and we have a proportionality constant, and this law is called Biot-Savart law. And the proportionality constant K is given as mu, the permeability. I said a magnetic quantity of the medium, no, that is called permeability mu. It is called as mu divided by 4 pi. 4 pi comes by symmetry, and mu is called the permeability of the medium. So, if we write all that, we have finally the Biot-Savart law in the scalar form like this. This is the Biot-Savart law in the scalar form. Though we write that as BIOT, Biot, the T is silent in that. So, we can call that as Biot-Savart law. And what about the vectorial representation? Before that, there are some more terms that we need to know. The mu is permeability of the medium, mu naught is permeability of the free space. So, how we have for the permittivity, the same relations we have here also. So, the ratio between the permeability and the permeability of free space is called mu r. I would like to write that also. What is mu r? Mu r is mu divided by mu naught. So, based on that we have relative permeability. The permeability of free space has this as a numerical value 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7. The free space has the relative permeability as 1. So, this is the final form of Biot-Savart law. We have included all that in the vector form, because the magnetic field is a vector. In the vector form, we call this IDL as the current element. Current and the length of the conductor is also considered as the current element here, and it is a cross product. R is the distance between the point and the current element, and here we have R cube because R is written here, because R is existing as inverse square only, but here we have inverse square. So, in that case the R is written as the unit vector R cap. So, all these are important terms. This is in the scalar form, this is in the vector form, this is also in the vector form, except for this R vector and R unit vector. So, this is called the Biot-Savart law for finding the magnetic field produced by a current element. We can use it for several applications. We will see the applications in the upcoming lectures. Shall we summarize what we have learnt in this lecture? So, in this lecture, we have seen the history of magnetism, magnetic effect of current, the direction of magnetic field and the magnitude of magnetic field, the term called current element, and finally the law called Biot-Savart law relating the magnetic field produced by the current element at a particular point. Before we wind up this lecture, let us test our understanding by answering these questions. Who has observed first the relation between the magnetism and current? State right hand thumb rule. How are the magnitude of magnetic field, distance from the current element to a point and the strength of the current related? State Biot-Savart law. So, with this I would like to wind up this lecture, and we will see the applications of Biot-Savart law in the upcoming lectures. Thank you for watching this program.